we are starting the first day of business webinars and workshops on Generation Room 2. Many thanks for attending. These, like other things on the events, can be watched later also. And we have Luis Amado with us, who is the B Corp Executive Director for Portugal, so part of BLab Europe. And we are going to go through a very interesting recent tool, which is the Action Manager, to navigate towards the SDGs. Such an important concept as we aim towards 2030, and all countries have signed in the grid to commit to meet all the 17 SDGs. Luis, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to be here, to be part of this great event, and to be able to share with you this tool that we put forward since the beginning of the year. We are doing this workshop in English, but if anyone wants to ask anything in any Latin language, Portuguese, Spanish, French, Italian, I think I can cope with that. I will reply in English, but don't be afraid of asking whatever you need. If you think you have anything you want to have clarified, please feel free to interrupt me or drop a few lines on the chat. That will be more valuable for everyone. That's the idea, that in the next 40 minutes or so, we'll be able to learn a bit about a tool that BLab developed together with UN Global Compact about that would help us to achieve the SDG objectives. I'll start to share my screen with you. And so, as a starting point, we have the SDGs. Maybe not everyone is so familiar with the SDGs. And so my question and my first challenge to you would be if you could give me some inputs about what the SDGs represent to you. And if you could go to this link, just writing it on your browser, wherever you have it, or your mobile or whatever, we'll have an idea about the ideas that we have in the different people's head that we have together today. I'm just going to put the question on. Give me a few seconds. Okay, should be able to do it right now. Okay, this is what we are getting. Surviving, well-being, sophisticated, 2030, agenda, KPIs, system, governments, optimized resources. I like this one. That's one of the things that attract me in this tool, because I'm a bit obsessed with the optimizing of the resources. So I think that's the key for all of us to survive. That's also another word that is here. Greenwashing tool for business. No, I hope not. I will try to rebate that idea. That is not about greenwashing. It's about tools that can make business be better for the world and not greenwashing. System. Great. Sophisticated. Okay. Enough, at least, to be effective. Yeah, great. Peer pressure. Also an interesting idea, political peer pressure.
Luis, can you share the link on the chat?
Sure, I thought to do that, and then
appear the results. I know, but
no, and then due to what we agreed to do, I was not sure if I would have the chat, and then I forgot I had it. Okay, I think most of you already used it, so yeah, someone else. Sophisticated. New paradigm and stakeholders. Right, that's also very dear to me about the stakeholders. and about the B Corp movement, as you'll be able to learn during this week. Global common commitment. That's also something that I think resumes pretty well the idea of the SDGs. Okay, thank you for input. I will go back to my presentation. And actually, this is like some of the things that you've put forward. This is a common agenda, a to-do list for humanity. So something that we want to do together, and that would be a political issue, a daily issue, something that we should have embedded in the different decisions we take, namely to end poverty, protect the planet, ensure prosperity for all. Other words for things that you have put forward in terms of what we want to achieve as a society, as a planet, whatever we want to call them. The principles behind the SDGs were the principles behind the United Nations. So to be universal, in focus in eradicating poverty, and the sustainable future for all countries is, like some of you already put forward, is also a challenge. They are integrated in the dimensions, in 3 dimensions: the sustainability development, and basically taking into account people, planet, peace, and prosperity through partnerships. That is always something that is put forward. It's one of the SDGs. And trying to be inclusive, not leaving anyone behind. So, but where we are today, I think we all have this idea that despite now we have the excuse of the COVID, even before that, we were still far away from what we need to do, either in terms of the climate action, because we are experiencing drastic increases in CO2 emissions, in temperatures, all the consequences that are linked of the actions we have had in the last years or decades. And also in terms of poverty, despite the fact that the quality of life is increasing significantly in some countries, we are still off track in terms of ending poverty by 2030. So these tools become more and more relevant if we take this scenario into account. We have these 17 SDGs, and based on these ideas that we put forward in terms of willing to create a more sustainable world, a more equitable world, and trying to end poverty, I would dare to ask you if you think anything is missing in these objectives, and if you would be asked by UN, what would be the 18th SDG that you would put forward if you have the chance to do it?
Again, can you share?
Yeah, I'm going to share it. It's the same, but I'm going to... It's the same,
okay. So we have it.
The idea is to put forward an SDG that is not in the 17th that we have presently. If you think that one is missing that you would like to put forward.
Luis, I think one of the big problems with this is it requires maybe more reflection, but it's a $1 million question.
Or maybe it's nothing is really missing. That might be something that would be comfortable for all of us to know, that we have the right map to do the things as we think they should be done. Someone put forward family time. I fully agree, and I think we can argue that it comes from all the others. If the others are working okay, maybe we'll have more family time. Okay. It looks to me that most of the things are related to some of the SDGs that we already have in place. So the idea for me is that, at least that's my feeling, is that they are pretty comprehensive and take everything into account.
Also, we would need to think more a bit, We have, for instance, a Dutch architect, Thomas Rau, is going to present on our main event on the 23rd. I know that he has an 18th objective, so I keep you
Okay.
waiting for that.
An architect, I would say it's something binding to the 11th or to the 9th, because it's always a question of how we divide things sometimes. So yeah, and maybe it also links with the 17th because you would like to work in partnership with someone, but I'm curious to see what is being put forward. So let's go ahead. The idea is that we all have to act like civil society, government, and companies, and companies would have a relevant goal. They are positioning themselves nowadays in a way that has been evolving along the time, fortunately. So some of them have already defined their priorities. Some mentioned the SDGs in their business strategy. Some disclose their KPIs to the SDGs. But despite this growing involvement from the business, there is still a gap in which we need to work on to integrate the business strategy and converting it into meaningful measures that will help us to manage, because if you cannot measure, we cannot manage. So that will allow us to measure and to manage. And this is the reason why this tool was created. So how companies can contribute to the SDGs. And I will try to give you a flavor of what has been done, and then we'll go deeper into that.
Imagine using the power of business as a force for good to transform the world.
Imagina transformar el mundo usando la fuerza del mercado.
我们相信企业改变世界的力量。
In 2015, 193 countries of the United Nations adopted the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, known as SDGs, a global set of goals for a shared and durable prosperity. But it isn't enough to just envision the SDGs. With just 10 years left to act to achieve these ambitious goals, it's time for the business community to rise up as leaders in this global effort. That's why B-Lab has partnered with the United Nations Global Compact to create the SDG Action Manager to inspire and track bold action towards the 17 SDGs. As a representative of your business, your country, your generation, pledge to take action on the SDGs today. Choose which global goals your business is prepared to fight for over the next decade, and spread the word about the SDG Action Manager. Together, let's change the course of history and use the power of business to transform the world.
Okay, so as you've seen, I'm even before I let you know a bit more, I'm already challenging you to be ambassadors of what we are going to learn a bit more now. So as you grasped, this is focused on the management part of the SDGs with clear paths for improvement. So this was launched in the January 2020. It's a free online tool that is aimed to enable the action and the self-assessment of the different SDGs. So it's a tool in which you can dive in just by registering. It's based on the 10 principles from the UN Global Compact, and it was created based on the B-Impact assessment. That is the main tool from B-Lab that you'll be able to learn more if you want on Wednesday at noon. You'll have a workshop about that tool. And that basically with the contribution of different international stakeholders was created to help companies to measure and to identify where they are and what they can do. So it recognizes the interconnectors, but also creates the focus, and should also help companies to understand what are the pros and cons of the things that they are doing, and show them the different options that others have taken, so they can learn with that and improve their impact in the different SDGs. Okay, there are scores in which you are able, through which you are able to identify where you are and what you can still achieve. It's confidential. It's an assessment tool for you to use for your company with the maximum benefit you want for them. There is no verification, so you are not going through an exam. You are examining yourself. At this stage, at least, we don't have the validation of the results. It has also an approach in which you are allowed to measure the risk of not taking certain measures. So it's also a risk evaluation tool if you want to consider it in that way. There is a part of it that will allow you to measure the risk of not taking certain decisions and how that would impact your business. The questions are, as in the BIA, that is the other tool, tailored according to the size and sector and geographic market of your company. And it's linked to the BIA, that is the other tool that we have that will allow, that is a more deep tool in terms of going into the structure of the company and understand how the company can positioning itself to become a positive contributor to the society. Okay, and has a tracking dashboard in which you can define your goals and monitor them and even create deadlines for those. It is based on the idea that you should create an initial baseline to identify where you are in terms of the SDGs, because you cannot go to all of them, help you to understand the impact you can create, and also can be very useful in terms of communicating your impact and how your business model can contribute to the SDGs. And as I said previously, to set goals and track their evolution. It can help you to collaborate across your company, because you can always add colleagues to the tool and ask for their contribution. And it's a learning in every step, because like I was telling you, you will be able to benchmark and to see what the others are doing, so you can improve and go to the next stages based on previous experience from some others. Recently, there was this release, the release of the benchmark functionality one month ago, so like the previous months, in which you can compare the SDG contribution with other companies now that we have started having a critical mass, and that will allow also this improving and learning with the others. That is something that we always carry with us in the B Corp movement. So, but after this initial description of the tool, I would like you, with the support of John, that is one of the people that is most well known about the tool, to dive a bit into the tool itself and learn a bit more how it works. You can even use your browser if you want and use the link and try to register yourself at the same time, or leave it for later and try the tool, because it's an online tool free to use.
Hey, this is John from B-Lab, and today I'm going to walk you through the SDG Action Manager. Start by opening a new browser window and going to app.beimpactassessment.net/get-started/SDG Action Manager. Complete the form and step through registration. Existing B-Impact Assessment account holders just need to log in. The dashboard will display the SDG Action Manager introduction with the opportunity to learn more. Here, companies can learn about the SDG Action Manager and what they can expect by using the tool. From here, the SDG Action Manager is a click away. The SDG Action Manager landing page is the jumping off point where companies can find the SDGs that matter most to them. Based on the company's industry, the platform will recommend SDGs. Below the recommendation are the remaining SDGs. The baseline module is a company's jumping off point. The baseline module is rooted in the 10 principles of the UN Global Compact. To expand a question, click the summary. After reading the question, check all that apply. After checking an answer, you'll see the Save option. Click Next to advance to the next question. After saving your answer, you'll notice the background of the answer turns to a color. This will help you identify answered and unanswered questions. As the Be Impact Assessment and SDG Action Manager share some question content, answers are also shared. In this example, this question also appears in the Be Impact Assessment Workers section. The question filter provides a fast and effective way to filter a set of questions. In this instance, let's find all unanswered. Please note that the baseline module must be completed in order to unlock the remaining SDG modules. With the baseline complete, let's take a look at this company's performance. Click Report, SDG Performance. Click the arrow to reveal the scores in each subsection of the baseline module. Here, a company can see where they're doing really well and also spot the areas where they can do some improvement. To jump back to the questions, just click View. With the baseline complete, a company can now hop into the remaining SDGs. Here we'll take a look at SDG 1. With SDG 1 complete, let's hop back over to our performance. Here we can get a clear view of how a company's operations, supply chain, and business model create positive impact, as well as identify risk areas. In some cases, a company's current answer to a question might not be the answer they want in the future. This is where setting a goal can help. Click the star icon to open the goal window. Here you can see the current answer and also choose the answers you want to get to in the future. Set a due date.
Sorry.
And do some improvement. To jump back to the questions, just click View. With the questions, just click View. With the baseline complete, a company can now hop into the remaining SDGs. Here we'll take a look at SDG 1. With SDG 1 complete, let's hop back over to our performance. Here we can get a clear view of how a company's operations, supply chain, and business model create positive impact, as well as identify risk areas. In some cases, a company's current answer to a question might not be the answer they want in the future. This is where setting a goal can help. Click the star icon to open the goal window. Here you can see the current answer and also choose the answers you want to get to in the future. Set a due date and enroll to receive email reminders. Don't forget to save the goal. Setting a goal is the first step towards long-term improvement. The SDG Action Manager encourages collaboration. Adding team members is a snap. Click the plus sign, add your coworkers' information, and we'll send an invitation their way. When returning to the platform, after a successful login, you'll land on your dashboard. Here, you can get a snapshot of how things are going. Take a look at your goals, and quickly get back to the SDG Action Manager. I hope you enjoyed this look at the SDG Action Manager. Thank you for your time.
Okay, so sorry for the technological issues. I hope now with this more detailed dive into the tool, it was easy to understand what I was describing you previously. The idea now is that if you have any questions, any doubts about what you have been shown, how can I deal with this, how can I use it, whatever you think it's useful, we can go and try to clarify that for the next couple of minutes, even trying to go to the tool as an example and check some areas if you're interested in. So please just let me know what you think it's more useful.
The microphones are available to be turned on. I have a question, Luis. To what extent, how is the database right now? Because you were saying that you can start doing some benchmarking, yes? So you are starting to have people, of course, this is a recent tool, so it's not to have big numbers, but to understand a bit how is it growing.
Yeah, we already have thousands of companies dealing with that. Small companies, big companies like Danone. So it's we didn't put forward the benchmarking until we have a certain critical mass that would allow us to be at least with some relevant data. They are becoming more and more relevant as more companies join in, but yeah, still in the thousands of companies.
And people get, in terms of end result, people imagine that people have like 6 SDGs that are the relevant ones for their business. Mm-hmm. Then in terms of the result is they get like a degree of achievement on all the sub objectives.
Yes. Okay. I will try to show that because it might be interesting. Can you see the tool?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the initial screen. I will click here and continue, and you'll have here, if after filling in the baseline, in this case the more relevant one was decent work and economic growth. That is still just with 7 questions out of 28 filled in, but it already has a score. And overall, also a score in terms of percentage, like you're saying, about where you are. So the 100% would be your end goal, to say to your best contribution. And then in the different ones, you have always the percentage in terms of the scores.
And and
in the different questions, you have the number of points available. And depending on what you reply, you will get a certain amount of points. So you can understand, okay, I'm doing this, but if I'm doing this and this, I will get more points. So I'm improving my impact.
Luis, as we have sub-objectives within the each SDG, mm-hmm. Does it deal with that? Or
yes, this was created based on that structure that was already existing. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else with any question?
Hi there. My name is Pedro, and I don't know if I can ask a question.
Sure, go ahead.
So, very nice presentation. Thank you very much, Luis. And the question is, does this method has too many questions for you to answer in order to have like a score to the goal and how to see an overview of the company targets towards the SDGs? That's one question. And another question is, how can you use this tool to actually find out which projects in the field are really contributing to the SDGs in order to inspire other people to do the same thing? Other companies, for instance, if a specific project is actually working on reducing, for instance, greenhouse gases, people should visit, should learn from it. And this is the kind of stuff that makes the boundary between the answers that we do in the tool and the actual projects that are being built in the field. Do you see any connections between the two? Thank you very much, Luis.
So you mean how you can use this tool, or after doing the evaluation of a certain project, how can you use the tool to promote that project so the others can see it as an impactful one? Is that exactly your question?
Exactly.
Okay. Basically, for that, what I think is that since this is becoming a tool that is used by different companies, and more companies are using it, and you have the benchmark idea, you can always let them know that, okay, you've done this and you have this score. I have a higher score because I'm doing this is better than you are. And so it's kind of a grid that you can use to have a conversation about the different areas in the different SDGs, because you are measuring the things in the same way, despite the fact that you can be companies of different sizes, different geographic locations, and different areas of operations. And so you have like a common language that in a common scale in which you can measure and show the others how impactful you are being in your project. And there is always the idea behind of sharing good practices. That is something that we promote a lot in the B Corp movement, and we always want to share best practices amongst people that are working towards the same goal. And it would not make sense, namely in the SDGs, because if we go to the 17th, we have the partnerships idea. So this is always very present in terms of the SDGs. If you are asking more in a more concrete way, if we have any tool to spread best practices about the project that have higher scores, for example, in the SDG Action Manager, at this stage, not yet. Maybe something we'll have in the future, and I'm sure it's something that we're going to promote are the good cases like we do with the B impact assessment. But this is a quite recent tool, so at this stage, we do not have a formal program, if we want to call it that way, to promote the projects that are more relevant for certain SDGs in terms of the B Lab structure. But the tool, it's an open one, and everyone can use it to communicate their projects and to show the others how I'm impacting in this specific SDG. The other issue about the number of questions, as you can see here, it's around 20 questions per SDG. So you can say it's a lot or it's not a lot, but to be credible, you still need to be a bit demanding. So we always try to balance these two issues. That is, not being too demanding that it takes so much effort that nobody wants to do it, but also not to be so easy that it becomes irrelevant because it's not trustable, and it's not reliable and not credible. So it loses its value. So the idea is that some of them only have 10, others have 15, if you count with 20, and then you can always focus on the ones that are more relevant to you and do it this stage by stage. You don't need to come and do everything at once. And like I was showing you before, the idea about the tool is that if you go to a question, you have different options. And by the options, you are already guided to your next steps, because let's take this gender disaggregation data, for example, that I just opened. If I just doing it by wages or benefits, and then I realize, oh, but I can do it in some other ways, and I try to implement that so I can get more points and have more impact. So while doing the assessment, you can get ideas and create measures to improve your impact. And that's the beauty of it, because it's not only an assessment that is static, that gives you like a grade, and now I have this grade and I'm going to show or not show depending on how good it is to the others, but I can learn during the process how would be the next steps to improve my impact in the regarding different SDGs.
Thank you very much, Luis.
You're welcome. I have here another quick question.
Luis, can I just ask you a question? Cheers. Thank you so much for the presentation. It's quite clear. I'll just have a question on regards to the evaluation and the risk assessment. First of all, how much data has already been input? I know it's a fairly recent tool. So, and the other one is with regards to the baseline, is it defined per country? So when you go to assess the companies to other companies, would it be based on the country?
What you are meaning by baseline is this initial?
Yeah, so the
baseline, the SDG baseline.
Exactly. So you show the baseline there. That's based on the SDG goals. So this is sort of the I assume the sectors, it's all sectorized. But then when you go to compare it to do the benchmarking, how would you
No, it's international.
Okay, so international.
No, not taking into account the country. No.
Okay.
Taking into account the size of the company, the area of operations, basically those are the key ones. To be honest, regarding the risk assessment and how much data has already been input, it's the data that is available for the people that created the tool. I can dig that for you and try to make you learn more about that. But to be honest, I don't have information about what exactly is behind the risk analysis and how it has been evolving in terms of the inputs that have been inserted recently in the tool.
Okay, cheers. Thank you.
You're welcome.
João, thank you so much for the presentation. Edwin Janssen here. The SDGs have been developed on the basis of country by country comparison as well. And this tool helps business to move forward on the goal. But is there a relationship between all the companies in a country so that it is actually consolidated in such a way that a country can report more positively if more positive stuff is being done by the individual businesses in this tool?
You're picking a very interesting point that comes very often to the discussions. That is how countries can report in an efficient manner how they are contributing and what they will be the next steps. This can be consolidated if the countries, or if the regions, or if the communities take the step to ask the different players to use it and then consolidate the results, because the results are the results are the same for everyone, so it would be very hard to consolidate them. But it needs a work of putting together the different the tool by itself. It's not, well, it can be prepared to answer if someone has the data and thinks, okay, now I'm going to fill it according to the idea of this region and what I know from the region. But some of the questions would be hard to answer in terms of average of salaries or whatever.
Thank you.
Yeah, it would be very interesting to see this in the next couple of months, or to be used as a way of reporting the progress for different areas, for different countries, for different cities. Yeah.
We need now to be careful about the
time.
The time, yes.
Yeah.
No.
Any more questions? So if not, I will just conclude by challenging you to move forward this idea of assessing the impact you're having regarding the SDGs, or using the SDGs as a way of measuring, by assessing the current contribution, by including this in your business models of the companies, because I think this would be a great added value for the future. This would be also a very interesting way of engaging your employees, because everyone is taking more and more these issues into consideration and will regard their company as a champion if they are engaging on this. This has been a very powerful tool of communication. If you go to Amsterdam, they even have in the sidewalks the SDGs. And it's also a way of engaging with all the different stakeholders. So it would be a way of creating interaction with all the relevant players for your company development. And there are here some links about the places in which you can find more guidance for the SDGs. So as a summary, I would say you have here a free tool that can be used to define the SDG roadmap with a pragmatic approach, like I was trying to show you, in which you can see where you are and where you can be in the near future and what you can do to arrive there, because you have the goals in front of you in terms of what are the things that you can implement. And so in one place, you have everything about the needs to comply with the SDGs, where you are, where you want to be, and how you can communicate that. So that's what I think would be relevant in terms of this tool. You have already seen the link. You can go there and try to use it the best you can, or how you think it would be best for your company. And you always have the support from B-Lab headquarters, or if you want to approach me directly, please feel free. I will just drop my email on the chat for whatever you think it's useful, or for any doubts. You will have my email here. And also, someone is asking about sharing the presentation. Just drop me an email. I will be glad to share the presentation with you. And from my side, I think I've told you what was more relevant regarding this issue. I would challenge you to learn more about the other tool of the B Corp movement on Wednesday at noon, and also some sessions about the B Corp movement that will be held during the meeting. And until then, just let me know, or whenever you feel it's appropriate, that Luis, I didn't understand this, I need this information, can you do that for me, or I want just the presentation. And thank you, Natalie, for sharing the results from Portugal.
I would also say, Luis, the following. There is something coming through also, which is dialoguing between different things. ODS local, so ODS is SDGs for someone that is not Portuguese, is a tool that is being launched and will be presented on our event, a video, and there will be soon a presentation of it that is about in municipalities, so along municipalities, the sharing of data on the SDGs. Okay, ODS local. And Luis, I thank you very much. I would like to say to everybody that Luis is going to make a second presentation, a second workshop on Wednesday. So please stay tuned on the BIA assessment, so the BELAD assessment tool, the main impact assessment tool. And Luis is going to bring in some B Corp people to the main event. And BELAD Europe is going to present together with Sistema B Latin America on the next day. So on the 22nd and on the 23rd, there will be 2 presentations by B Corps. So it's really an amazing partnership that is being created with Plantiers.
Thank you, Antonio. It's a pleasure to be part of this great partnership to change the world, as Planeteers have always stated up front in a very nice video that was inspiring for a lot of people, I guess. And it was a pleasure to be here with all of you during these 3/4 of an hour or so. And please feel free to keep in touch, and let's change things for better based on SDGs and whatever we can do. We need to do something. So,
thanks a lot. Stay tuned. We'll continue with the next session, but we are going to discontinue now the Zoom. Thanks a lot, Luis. Have a nice day, you all.
You too. Thank you all.